Hello everybody, it's Karen. Man, I'm always forgetting my earbuds. Today is day 2 of the Akashic Recalibration, and I'm excited to hop in here with you. I have a couple of things to share. If you pop on, please send the love, say hello. I'll probably just keep going with my flow and check back on any comments afterwards. So today I want to do 2 things. Dive deeper into the Akashic insights to understand a little bit more about our divine soul blueprint and how they're here to work for us, how to keep us in alignment so that we can be stepping into that prosperity that we're seeking and creating the success in life in all the areas of life where we would love to be thriving. And then we're going to do another healing, energy healing modality and a practice together. Okay, so let's just dive in. So yesterday, I referenced your Divine Soul Blueprint and the energetic signatures that, let's see. These are the broad brushstrokes of the energetic frequencies that we are each bringing forward. Obviously, we play with all of these, but there is 1 or 2 that we play with the most, that we as a soul have chosen to embody the most and use as a vehicle to bring in source energy, increase the frequency of the planet, and support our own individual experiences to create what we desire to create. So I'm going to go through each one of these and kind of break it down a little bit more as to what the gifts of these are, and also the shadow side, the opposite polarity of what it looks like when we're not in alignment. So I'm going to start with compassion. Compassion, again, is all about nurturance and community and nature. And the gift of compassion is empathy. And empathy is a beautiful expression. But when, so let me frame this a little bit. So we are on this 3rd dimensional spectrum, right, where there's polarities. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. So there's a polarity of the gift side of being in like a really healthy, balanced expression of empathy. And then on the other side of the spectrum is the shadow side, which is being caught in isolation and taking on too much. So I'm just going to give you an example a little bit about how this works, because I am very familiar with this signature. This is my own energetic signature, compassion. So I've played with this one a lot. And I understand empathy. And I've played on both sides of the polarity a lot. And in my most aligned expressions, compassion is truly like divine love in a way that really has a healthy respect for another person's path and another person's journey. And it's extremely heartfelt and honoring. And when it's in the opposite end of the polarity, it's very easy for someone of this signature to jump in with both feet and want to help, right? Want to help somebody, rescue them from their situation, support them in a way that just leads them out of it. And that can really lead to taking on too much and not allowing that other person to be self-responsible. And I end up being in sort of depletion and isolation. And so that's the misalignment experience. And in that experience is where like we end up creating, just absorbing energy that is not ours. And that really creates a lot of karmic clutter and energetic clutter for ourselves that we have to go back and clear later. So I've spent a lot of time clearing what I accrued when I was in misalignment. And really working on getting to that healthy, balanced place of being in empathy in a way that's really honoring of someone else, but not jumping into it with them. Okay, so that's just an example of how these work. So that's compassion. I'm not going to dive in too deep. If you ever want to learn more about these and also just gain some insight specific to your situation, specific to your own challenges, feel free to reach out and I'll share more information about what it is to get a reading but there's a lot you can glean just by tuning into your own inner knowing about these. So manifestation, this is again the gift of creating on this physical plane, and creating with your physical body, and creating tangible results. And so that's the real gift, is these are the creators. And then when they're in alignment, they're just creating, they're very easily manifest beautiful creations, whether it be financial or physical or relationship related, all kinds of creating. And then in the negative polarity, in the shadow side, there's disconnect. So these souls that if they're holding this signature, they can get ungrounded from the physical plane, ungrounded from this place where we're here to create, and really just get disconnected from this experience. And that's where the misalignment happens for these souls. Okay. Yeah, so, okay, if you have questions about that, I could talk a lot about all of these, but if you have specific questions about any one of them, just reach out, add them in the comments, send me a message. Third one is divine order. Divine order is all about valuing harmony and balance and the aesthetics. They're very artistic. And so this is the real gift that these souls bring, that energetic of being, just creating harmony and balance in their expressions, in their daily lives, in their homes, in their relationships, in their work lives. And that's what alignment looks like. It's when everything is balanced and at peace and in harmonious. And imbalance happens when there's drama. When there's drama in the family, there's drama in the work site, drama in their own inner being, that can create a lot of misalignment for these souls. So they're really encouraged to create family relationships, create work relationships, create career paths where they can have a real influence on the flow of the space, of how things work, of how all the elements come together, because they're going to do a really great job when they're in alignment of making that harmonious. It's when they're caught in external situations where there's just a lot of drama stirred up that doesn't work for them and ends up creating misalignment. Okay. The fourth one is divine love. This is all about unconditional love, which is, so valuable for the planet, because this planet has, throughout our known history has been really all about conditional love, where we've been conditioned to have conditions in our loving relationships. We all talk a beautiful game about unconditional love, but the true expression of unconditional love is very elusive. We get glimpses of it, right? But it's hard to hold on to. And so I'm super grateful for the souls who are bringing this in, and it's not an easy job because of the density, because of the conditionality of the general vibration. So it's a big job. Thank you to these souls who are stepping forward. So their gifts is really to demonstrate true acceptance, true self, non-judgment of another. And when they're in alignment, they're just really embodying this full acceptance, full non-judgment, unconditionality in their relationships and in their engagements. And when they're out of alignment, it's in situations where there's really a lack of support, where they're feeling like they're going it alone, when they're doing all the work, and they're giving, but not receiving in equal measure. So that really leads to depletion for these souls. And they're encouraged to watch out for those situations and really create relationships, create family lives, environments where there is a healthy balance of give and take and receiving and giving, so that they can have more balance. So that's what creates misalignment for these souls, being in situations where there's no support. Overgiving. Okay, the fifth one is communication. This is all about that authentic self-expression in the written and verbal realms. And these souls are in alignment when there's a lot of space for them to communicate their truth, what is just like itching to be expressed. And a lot of times it happens verbally. You might just ask a question of someone with this signature or reach in for some support. And all of a sudden this flow of amazing wisdom will emerge, and they'll be like, wow, where did this come from? Because that's their divine gift. It just flows naturally from these souls. So they're in alignment when they're having a lot of opportunity to express authentically, both written and verbally. So creating spaces within their family lives, creating spaces within their work lives, within the environments where they engage in their career path, or communities where there's a lot of healthy expression encouraged, and where others are wanting to hear what they have to say. That creates alignment for these souls. So misalignment happens in that shadow aspect of when they're in spaces where there isn't room. They're not being heard. They're not being, that what they have to express isn't valued. And so they end up withholding that expression. And that if you ever, inquire, if you have someone in your life with this gift and you ask them about this, it feels awful, right? Like we all know what it is to be in misalignment. It doesn't feel good. It's like bottling up your gifts, right? It's like putting a lid on your superpower. So it doesn't feel good. So they're encouraged to really avoid situations where their expression has no space, has no audience to hear it. All right, okay. And then this next one is truth, divine truth. So these souls are really, they just come in with a lot of clarity about themselves and how they view the world. They're like seers, S-E-E-R-S. And they just see things clearly, and they have no trouble expressing that clarity of truth. So when they're, again, it's similar to the communication one. When there's space for that expression to land, they're in alignment. Like, they just need a open space where that's valued. Their truth is valued and honored. It's when they're seeking to connect and be involved and engaged, but there's no space for truth, that they end up in misalignment. And there's actually a lot of places in our culture where there isn't space because there's conventional constrictions around the expression of truth. Truth can be very inconvenient, very impolite. And so we haven't done a good job as a culture of creating a lot of space for truth to be fully expressed and heard and valued. And so these souls are really encouraged to find those relationships, find those work lives, those areas in where they can be engaged, where there's space for their truth to land and be valued. I guess I have another note about this, which relates to parenting for any of us who are parents, or just in relationships with someone else, because of course, you have your own energetic signature, 1 or 2, and so does your partner, so do your children. So knowing these aspects of the people in your inner circle is really valuable. So one of my kids, his energetic signature is divine truth. And it was so useful for me as a parent to learn that, because all of these things that felt so crunchy to me, like he was just so in his knowing and unapologetic about it everywhere we went. And I would feel apologetic on his behalf, because a lot of times it comes across as being not tactful, not thoughtful, or sometimes not kind, and that's the teaching for these souls, is to figure out how to craft the landing of their truth in a way so that others can hear it, right? Because a lot of people, if it's not shared in a way that's kind or tactful, it won't really land at all. So that's part of the journey of figuring out how to be in alignment. But there's also something about, these souls needing to just express first and figure out how it's going to work over time. Because if we wait for them to have the perfect way of doing it, like with complete kindness and tactfulness, it's just never going to happen, because because they're just going to bottle it up, because they're never going to get the practice on what works and how to work it and how to iterate it, you know? So it was helpful for me to support him. And I'm continuing to do this, of course, because he's in progress. He's a teenager. He's in progress. We're all in progress, really, right? But it's helpful for me to help him find groups of friends, find, you know, navigate his family relationships so that he can, you know, ease into the expressions of his truth in ways that are going to be more successful for him. And to be a little bit more discerning, not just drop them at a, you know, anywhere, everywhere, but really more discerning about, okay, you know, that person's not actually ready for my truth. You know, that's a teaching and learning of itself for these souls. And that's truly true for all of these in one respect or another, but this is really true for these souls. So, and then there's also the truth that we just kind of need them to drop their bombs on us sometimes. We need to get shaken up. We need our boats to get rocked. And sometimes it's not going to feel good for those of us who live with these people, who are getting exposed to people who are truthers. I call them truthers. Sometimes they do need to just drop their truth and step away and let those of us who are on the receiving end, you know, kind of respond in ways that are going to be of benefit for us, for, you know, because there's usually teachings for all of us in all this, right? Like, we get to figure out how to be self-responsible for the ways we get poked. So there's lots and lots to play with these. Okay, power, divine power is the other one. This one's all about having freedom of choice, right? And free will is really valued by these souls, and having the ability to create change in their lives and take action in their lives. And so when there's a lot of space in these souls' lives to make those personal choices, to make changes when they need to take risks when they're ready to, that creates a lot of, you know, alignment and abundance and flow for them. When they're in situations where there's a lot of obligation, so whether it's, you know, within the family life, relationship, or in their work life, and there's just external obligation put on them, that creates a lot of misalignment for them and can result in these souls sort of doubling down on, you know, doing everything necessary so that they can create just a little bit of space to make their own personal choice. And that can create constriction and sort of the bottling up of that gift, right? All right, so that's divine power. And the last one is, divine wisdom. I forgot a note. Divine wisdom is, divine wisdom is similar to truth, but instead of this individual personal truth, it's much more the subjective universal truth. So they're very thoughtful and insightful. Their gifts are all about their extreme, thoughtful, insightful expressions of truth. Very deliberate and rational. They're just very good at expressing common sense. And it's actually not that common for true common sense to be expressed in very thoughtful, insightful ways. And that's what these souls are here to do and embody. And they're going to be in alignment when they've found relationships, work lives, situations where there's a lot of valuing of what the wisdom they have to share, a lot of value, though, you know, a lot of space for them to be deliberate in their expression and to bring it forward in ways that, you know, are aligned with universal truth. So these are deep thinkers and are more deliberate souls. So they're not the quick action takers, but boy, do they have some deep wisdom to share with us. Okay, so they can be just get into misalignment and into that shadow element when they're in situations where there's a lot of irrationality happening. So they can think about, you know, their career path, their work life. If they're working for a company that where there's just a lot of things happening that don't make sense, that aren't efficient, that are just irrational. That's going to drive these souls crazy. So, and you don't want to have a wisdom soul being driven crazy. It takes, that really is, creates a lot of misalignment for these souls. So they're going to be seeking situations that are much more valuing of their rational, thoughtful, insightful expressions. Okay, so those are a little deeper dive into the energetic signatures. Again, we all have one of these coming through very strong for us, and sometimes two of them. So play with that. Feel into it. Tune into your own connection with your Akashic record, which is, you know, like a consciousness, access to that consciousness of the Akash within your own heart center, and just inquire which of those has something to teach you or tell you about today. And that's going to really guide you into the pathways to creating more prosperity for yourself and aligning with your full success and abundance. Okay, so next I want to share a healing, an energy clearing modality. And I want to talk more about EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. This is one that a lot of people have heard of. So if that's true for you, beautiful. I hope you get another layer today. And if this is new to you, that's okay. We're going to cover all the basics. So essentially, we're going to follow up on what we did yesterday, which was we did a bunch of tapping all over our bodies, right? And we were activating pressure points, acupressure points, which align with our energetic meridian system, which is our energetic superhighway within our bodies that is designed to flow energy. And open and harmonious and balanced flows of energy result in a coherent physical body. You know, our neural brainwave states and heartbeat and digestion and blood flow is all in sync and coherent when our energy flows are in balance and harmonious and not blocked. So we're doing a lot of good for the mental, emotional, and physical body when we can activate pressure points to continue the flows of that energy. And so EFT is most often used for emotional health. It can be used for all kinds of issues, including all kinds of physical issues, but I use it a lot for emotional health because that's been my realm of focus in my energy work. So that means anytime we're feeling an emotion or feeling something that's not comfortable, nervousness, dread, fear, anxiousness, stress, worry, concern, sadness, grief, anything like that, we can tap to ease the flow of that emotion, and that will assist that energy to shift, remove blocks that might be in the way. So in EFT, we basically use just the pressure points, the end points of the meridians that are in the upper body. I'm going to point those out right now, and then I have an activity to do together. So we start with the side of the hand, which is kind of the fleshy part of your palm. So you can I often take my dominant hand and just tap with 4 fingers on the other hand, but it doesn't matter. You can do either one. And you're just tapping like you would tap on a table, and it's maybe 7 or 8 times. You don't have to count. It's really hard to do this wrong. So we tap on the side of the hand, and then we tap, the order doesn't matter, but it's useful to get the order of the points so that you can remember them, just to get a whole overview. We're basically overhauling our meridian system by doing all of these points. So tapping on the center of your head, your crown, and then taking 2 fingers and tapping right where your eyebrow begins, one or both eyes, whatever feels good to you. You can also add your third eye right in the center of your head. Some people do that. Usually your body will let you know what's needed. I like to do all the points because, again, it's an overhaul. Right now I'm tapping on the side of the eye, like where that temple bone is. Overhaul feels really good. But sometimes you might just find a spot and be like, oh man, this cheekbone spot, this is what I needed. That's all I needed. And you might just tap, tap, tap there. All of these correlate to different meridians. So there is, if that's feeling good and you want to stay there, then that's probably what your body needs. That's good intuition on your part. Where your mustache spot would be, or maybe is, right under your nose. I recently learned that this is a good point to tap if you're starting to lose consciousness, like you're about to faint, or maybe you're with somebody and they're starting to faint or lose consciousness. This is a good one to kind of retain consciousness. And under, right in the cleft of the chin. So you might, as you go through these points, you might begin to feel this letdown of energy in your body. It's okay if you don't feel that, but sometimes people do. It's a common feeling if you're sensitive to the energy flows of your body. So then we have our collarbone here, just about an inch below. You can tap like this. You could also take the flat of your hand and just tap like that, where a necktie would be. Or you can take your gorilla fists and do this. Kids like to do this. This is a really great activity to share with kids. Kids move energy super quick, and they love how empowering it feels for them to move an emotion. Because until we're taught how to move emotions, it feels like they're us, right? When we're feeling sad, we're sad. We are sad, right? Instead of, that's kind of what we're conditioned to talk about it like that. Instead of being like, I really feel sad, we're often taught to feel like, wow, I'm sad. I really am sad, but that's actually not the way it is. These emotions are just waves of energy, and we can move them on. We don't have to stay there, right? And it doesn't mean that there isn't, there might be something valuable about being in an emotion. You might be gathering a lot of important data from that emotion or from that aspect of you that is holding that emotion, but there's no reason to linger there. Once you've gleaned the data, once you've learned whatever it is you want to from it, then there's ways to move it on, and you don't need to wait for anything outside of you to happen for that to move, right? Okay, so we did the collarbone, and the last one of the series is right under the arm where a bra strap would be. And you could do one or both, and however best you can reach it is fine. Sometimes it's hard for somebody to reach that point, and that's okay. Just keep going with the other points. So that's one round of the EFT tapping points. So if I'm feeling something that's not comfortable, and I can feel it like really like intensely, like maybe, you know, on that scale of intensity of 1 to 10, and maybe I'm an 8, 9, or 10, I will just tap and not, you know, not stay in a story, but just tap, tap, tap to move it. I often will dance and move my body at the same time as I'm tapping, because that really works for me. So play with it, see what works for you. Sometimes people do like to emote and just express and maybe cry and yell and, you know, pound and whatever, you know, use the tool in ways that work for you. So you might want to play with that. Teach it to your kids, teach it to people in your life. It's super valuable and it's very empowering. So I would often do it with my kids when they were, you know, would wake up in the middle of the night from a bad dream, because you know how that energy of a bad dream can kind of linger and it doesn't feel good. It can feel icky and scary and hard to go back to sleep. So tapping can really help. So I would often tap on my kids in that place. A lot of times kids will prefer, younger kids will prefer someone to tap on them. But you can always ask, you know, do you want me to tap on you? And they'll be like, yeah, please. Or sometimes if your kids know, or if kids in your life know the tapping points and you just tap on yourself, them watching you will trigger their mirror neurons, and the same actions that are happening within your neurology and within your physical body will also happen within them, which is why sometimes it works for kids to tap on like a teddy bear or a doll. You know, they're tapping on the doll and the same actions are happening within their own body. So our neurology is amazing that way. This is how this energy work can happen so easily, because we're wired to be able to move these things. We're wired to be able to restore ourselves emotionally when we get off balance. Okay, so sometimes we just need the right tool, right? So I want to share an activity next. So this is a script. So a script, there's a lot of tapping scripts out there, and generally I don't like them. I don't necessarily like scripts. I think your own words are so much more powerful than any script that anybody has written. So if you are working on a specific issue, it's great to create your own script, to use your own words. That's going to be more in tune with your system. However, I have one script that I love, and I use it for myself a lot, and I want to share it. So this one script I'm going to share with you as a group too, and it's from Jessica Ortner, who is sort of one of the celebs in the EFT tapping world. And I will share a link in the comments for where to get this tapping script for yourself to her page. And it's called, it's for surrogate tapping. So basically surrogate tapping is when you're tapping for another person or a situation in your life where you feel like you don't have any control because the issue is over there. The issue, like, you know, I do this for my kids. I do this script for my kids a lot because it's maybe an issue that they're dealing with, and it's not my business, actually. It's their issue, and I'm seeking to support them, but in a way that's very sort of from the side. And maybe they've already even told me, Mom, I got it. I'm doing this, whatever. It's my thing. And I'm like, okay, cool, go for it. I'm here for support. And you know what? I'm going to do this tapping script. Actually, I don't always tell them. Sometimes I just do it because I can see that there's something, you know, like just going on with them, like some emotional resistance or challenge around any issue. My oldest is at college, so it's really easy to do this on his behalf when it seems like he's dealing with stress. So, or if your kids are going through a new transition, maybe they're starting a new school or in a new, you know, friendship that's a little tricky or something new. This can be a useful one. Also, this is a good one to do for people who are struggling, who you love, but it's, you know, again, it's that compassion. They're on their path, and what's theirs is theirs and what's mine is mine. So what's the best way to support them? This tapping script is a great way. Also, I'm bringing it forward for us to offer up right now to direct towards a circumstance in our life. So we can also direct it towards something that's happening in our lives that's really hard, and it's difficult for us to see clearly how we can shift out of it. So we begin with the energy, right? Energy shapes matter. So if we scale back and go to the energetics, we can actually have a bigger impact on whatever external situation that's a challenge than if we just dove right in with our, you know, desire to help, right? So I always love beginning with the energy first, and on the other side of that, I usually have a lot more clarity of what action is going to be the most beneficial, if action is needed. Okay, so this is what I want to suggest today, that we bring to mind our situation that we're focusing on this week, where we really desire to bring in greater prosperity, and we direct this tapping script to that situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap, and so I'm going to invite you to tap along with me. So follow the points with me. I'm not going to say them out loud. It actually doesn't matter if we keep up with the right points, but you can easily follow by just watching me and just tap as I tap. And then I'm going to say out loud a phrase for every point that I'm tapping on. And I'm going to pause to allow you time to say that phrase out loud for yourself as well. So when you work with this script by yourself, obviously you'll just do it, you'll read it, but this is how we're going to do it for the group. Okay, so I'm going to get a little comfortable here. I invite you to get comfortable too. Okay, so I'm looking at my notes here, so maybe I can put them right here. That will be easy. Okay, so go ahead and just take a breath and get a nice slow inhale, exhale going. Let's do 2 more of those. Another inhale. And 1 more inhale. And exhale. I want you to imagine the situation where you're desiring to bring in greater prosperity in your life. And we're going to start at this side of the hand point. And I'm going to start saying the phrases and give you time to say the phrase after me. I infuse the situation with love. Top of the head. I let go of my need to control. Side of the eye. I infuse the situation with hope. Side of the eye. I have faith that there is a greater good behind the situation. Under the eye, cheekbone. I infuse the situation with light. Under the nose, I have faith that what needs to be done will be done. Cleft of the chin, I infuse the situation with peace. Collarbone, I let go of my need to control. Under the arm, I have faith in divine timing. Nothing needs to be fixed. Everything is working in a perfect, greater order. This situation has what is needed inside of itself to emerge in the best way possible. As I see the gifts and power inherent in the situation, the gifts and power begin to emerge. This is a blessing in disguise. And I am so grateful. I let go of my need to control the situation. As I find peace within the situation, others find peace. As I find love in the situation, others find love. I let go of my need to control. As I heal in the presence of darkness, we are all uplifted. As I laugh in the presence of darkness, we are brought into the light. as I smile in the presence of darkness. We are all uplifted. Even though I perceive the situation to be a bad one, I have faith that there is a greater good behind this. I no longer live the lie that I don't have what it takes. The lie that others don't have what it takes. I live in my truth. The truth that I have the power to transcend any situation. The truth that others don't have what it takes to transcend any situation. Even though I have judged the situation, I deeply and completely love and forgive myself. This situation has what it takes to emerge to be something amazing. I have what it takes to have what I want and to create something amazing. It is already a part of me. I have faith that this situation that I love will evolve in just the perfect way. The outcome is greater than I could have ever imagined. So I let go of my willingness to predict. I let go of my need to control. Everything is in divine order. I am grateful for the situation where it helps me to learn and grow. I am grateful for the situation for it helps me to learn and grow. I am so grateful for this blessing in disguise. I am so grateful for this blessing in disguise. I transform hostility to kindness. I transform constriction to kindness and flow. There is nothing for me to figure out. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. I work to eliminate my judgments of others and circumstances. I see the power and the light in others and circumstances. I trust that others know what is best for themselves. I trust that this circumstance will evolve into the exact perfect result. Okay. Now focus on that situation again, and we're going to add in the Ho'oponopono prayer. So, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. All right. So that is the end of the script for now, and I'm going to share a link to it if this is something that you loved as much as I do. I encourage you to go check out the site, download the PDF, watch the video if that's helpful. There's a video, and make good use of it. And let me know how this lands for you. Let me know if this is useful. I would also really love to know what you're working on this week. So if you haven't already, let me know in a message or in a comment. Please add that. Tomorrow I'm going to bring in a modality that I use by proxy. It's called the emotion code. I'll share more about it tomorrow, but I'll be asking you to share. In fact, you're welcome to add it to this video, but I'll ask in another comment as well to make it kind of streamlined, to share a limiting belief or a challenge that you're experiencing, and I'm going to go in and offer to clear that for you on your behalf within the group to with using this modality. So it's just something I'm going to offer tomorrow for an additional clearing, and to demonstrate how amazing energy work can happen, because basically what I do in this modality is I do it by proxy, so we don't have to be present, and I do it remotely. I get to do it right here from my space, and because we are all interconnected energetically, there's a ripple effect within your field when I set a strong intention to clear this on your behalf. So please let me know what you're challenged by so that I can offer this to you. And I wish you so much joy and magic today, and I look forward to connecting tomorrow. Again, reach out if anything's coming up for you. I'd love to connect. Bye for now.